guys, welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Mal Lewis, AML Films. We out there. Thank you guys for tuning in today. Today we got Randy. He's back out here just giving you guys a follow-up. Randy, it's all on you.
Okay, so it's only been about 6 weeks since the last update, and a lot has happened in Caitlyn's life since then, and none of it's good. So not exactly 9 days after she walked away from rehab, she decided to go into an abandoned warehouse with a young Hispanic male who proceeded to beat her and rape her and hold her captive for about 4 hours on her son's second birthday. Luckily, he let her go. She had a pretty serious wound that she let fester for about 4 or 5 days. And lucky for her, she ran into a young lady from the Sunday Love Project, and that young lady convinced her that she needed to go to the hospital. Not only did she convince her, but she drove her there, waited with her in the emergency room till she was admitted, where she stayed for 13 days, had 2 operations, and a blood transfusion. Now, about 11 days into her stay, this young lady had been visiting her, calling her, and for some reason, Caitlyn got a bug up her ass and gave her a bunch of shit on the phone and hung up on her, hurt the young lady's feelings. That kind of behavior is unacceptable. That's a selfish, ungrateful, and totally unacceptable. So to that young lady, I would like to say thank you very much. You probably saved her life, because she probably would have went septic before too much longer. So, okay, so now she's in the hospital. She didn't want to say what hospital she was in, but we conned it out of baby daddy Khalil. He gave up the info, so I called down there, and she told me I could come down before her surgery. The first time she went into the operating room, she was going out of the room for about 9 hours. During that time, I told every single person I ran into, nurses, doctor, caseworker, orderlies, cafeteria workers, anybody that would listen, that she needed to go directly from the hospital to rehab. I informed her PO what was going on, and she agreed. She said if she was willing to go to rehab, we can skip executing the warrant. She can avoid jail. So we presented that to Caitlyn. She told us, yeah, I'll go. They can't find a bed. They're looking for a bed. Every other day I went to visit her. Oh, they can't find a bed. They can't find. I said, Caitlyn, you need to go to rehab. Well, turns out that she was telling the nurses and the caseworker something different. She's telling them she's not going. So when it became apparent that she wasn't going to go to rehab, her PO decided that she needed to be arrested. So meanwhile, baby daddy Khalil is bringing her drugs into the hospital, and that became pretty evident to people. So they couldn't really tell, whether it was their drugs, because she was getting Dilaudid and ketamine. So I guess about 10 days, 11 days into it, they started to withdraw the drugs that they were giving her, and then they withdrew them completely, and they gave her a drug test, and she tested positive for fentanyl that Khalil was bringing into her. So they told her that he couldn't be there, and that kind of blew our whole plan, because she checked out AMA, against medical advice. Took off out of the hospital. Khalil, I guess, brought her drugs or whatever, but she showed up back at the emergency room later that night, had crapped her pants, was trying to get readmitted, went into the bathroom of the emergency room, and overdosed, shot up and overdosed in the bathroom. So they cut her top and her sweatshirt off and gave her Narcan, brought her back, and then she started giving them some more crap. So they kicked her out of the emergency room, told her she needed to go. And she did do one good thing. She did call me to come get her. And I had to leave work 3 o'clock in the morning. I had to tell the rest of my crew that they were going to be shorthanded. And I did go down and get her from the hospital. Brought her back to my house. I probably should have taken her directly to the police station, but I didn't. I had mercy on her. I got her something to eat. She slept for a while. She got, we decided to take her up. I decided to take her up and let her see her kids because I knew she was going to jail. So we got some pizzas. We went up, we visited with their kid, both her sons, and we had a real good time. And I brought her back to the house, told her, we were both going to take a nap because I had to go to work. And I knew she wasn't going to stay at my house. She was going to take off as soon as I went to work to go back and get more drugs. So as much as I hated to do it, we called the sheriffs. The sheriffs came and took her off to the prison. She thinks that people enjoy putting her in prison. I mean, when someone you love goes to prison, a piece of you goes with them, and it's hard. But that's where she needs to be. So I put money on her books, and first thing she does is she uses the money on her books to call her mother, talk to her kids, and tell her older son that Papa put mommy in prison. Gets the kid crying, all upset, and that's just ridiculous. I mean, I couldn't put her in prison if I wanted to. And she's glad I can't put her in prison because she would have spent the better part of the last 3 years in jail if I had any say in it. So she put herself in prison. And backtracking. Another thing that she did do right, I asked her to please come forward and talk to the police about what had happened to her. And she did agree to do that. A detective from the Special Victims Unit came to the hospital. She told them what had happened. They pinpointed the warehouse that she was attacked in. Detective and his partner went and did some surveillance on the warehouse. After only about a half an hour, a young man came out of the warehouse. Detective asked him, "Hey, is there anybody else in there?" He took off running. He caught up with him, cuffed him up, went back into the warehouse, and here there was another young lady in there, totally naked, being held captive. He was coming back for some more later and going to do who knows what. So, I was really proud of her for doing that. She saved that young lady. Subsequent to her going to prison, the DA called and asked, was Caitlyn there? Because she had given the detective my contact information. And I explained to the DA that she was in jail. And when we talked for quite a while, 15, 20 minutes, about the whole situation, when I asked her about the second victim, she said she was trying to locate her. So that means that she's back down here and they're never going to find her. And if Caitlyn was able to get away from me and wasn't in prison, she would be gone too. And that young man could very well get out and do it again. He's only 16 years old. At some point he's probably going to graduate. So I'm hoping that she's going to do the right thing there and be available to testify and not take that, well, if they don't let me out of jail, I'm not going to testify against this guy, because it's really important that this kid be taken off the streets for a good long time. Okay, so now she's in prison. Everything's good, right? Wrong. Okay, so the next call I get is on a regular number from a cell phone, but it's not, there's not the preview of, hey, this call's from a correctional facility. And I hear her, somebody that claimed to be her cellie saying, oh, Caitlyn's in the hole and she wants you to put money on my books and then I'll give the stuff to her. And I'm thinking to myself, you're really going to try to scam me? I mean, come on. What do you think, I'm dumb? So she says, yeah, she's going to, I said, well, she needs to call me and then I'll talk to her. And she said, well, she's going to be in there for at least 30 days, but she doesn't tell me why. So I hang up with her, tell her don't bother calling me anymore. And so I call Caitlyn's grandfather and let him know what's going on. He has some connections up at the prison. He calls me back the next day and tells me that Caitlyn and 2 other girls were in segregation because they got caught with fentanyl patches. So even in prison, she can manage to find drugs. And, you know, this kind of crap, really, it's getting old. She needs to take some personal responsibility. You know, I think I'm done with the poor Kate. Yes, she does need help, and I told her that we would fight this thing together all the way, but I've done just about all I can possibly do. She needs to take responsibility. She needs to decide that she's got to get clean. Drugs have taken everything from Caitlyn. They've taken her health. They've taken her children. They've taken her dignity. They've taken her freedom. The only thing left is her life. And the way things are going, it doesn't look good. So, but the reason that everything went so well, as far as her being arrested, the supervisor willing to call the sheriff's willing to go down to the hospital and get her if need be, was because you guys wrote. I asked you to write to the adult probation, and I believe that that really helped the matter. So I just want to thank everybody for that. And I don't know where we go from here. I mean, if she doesn't want to, you know, be there for her children, at least, you know, to be able to talk to them, to give them a hug, she's missing out on so much. They came over last night for trick or treat, and they were dressed as sharks. Noah was a hammerhead, and Zaid was a mud shark. And he had a little button on his tail, and he would push the button and music would come on and he would dance around. And the reason I know he was a mud shark is because if you grew up listening to Frank Zappa and the Mothers of Invention, you would know the mud shark dance as soon as you see it. But you know, these are memories. These are things that only happen once, and you're either there for them and cherish them, or you're not. You know, these kids are going to grow up all too fast, and they're going to want to know why mommy didn't care enough about us. You know, they're going to watch this video. So for her to call to try to involve them sooner than necessary, that's just unacceptable. She needs to get her shit together. And I guess in 3 or 4 weeks, when she can have mail again, if anybody wants to write to her directly, it's Caitlyn Stoy, 60 Eagleville Road, Eagleville, PA, 19403. Just make sure that you put your return address on the outside of the envelope, and don't bother sending her any reading material, books, magazines, or anything like that, because she's got to ask permission. And I tried to send it to her and it got returned. It was just a big hassle. if she contacts me and, you know, is willing to act right, I'll send her the 2 books that she wants. Finally, I would just like to thank everybody for all your kindness and well wishes in this fight for Caitlyn's life. I did make the mistake this morning of watching a video that Mal put out, a tribute to Ariel, and that just busted me all up, because I can see that's where this is headed if things don't change. But the fight will continue, and I'll be back in the spring when things warm up a little bit to give you another update. Hopefully it's good news. Okay, so I brought a couple jackets down here the last time to donate. One was already given out to a young lady, and I have this other one here. You ask, well, you were down here before. Yeah, well, we had a little technical difficulties, and so I'm back. And you know, hopefully a young lady can wear this to rehab, to get off these streets, because there's nothing down here, nothing but despair and misery, and now National Guard too.